Bonjour mon petit amis. Welcome back. Bienvenue to, no worries if not, episode 10. This is the first time I have spoken today. I haven't uttered a single word out loud, and I said, do you know what the first thing I'm going to do today is? Talk for an hour. I've just literally finished recording, but I wanted to pop this right at the very beginning of the episode after the intro to say that in this episode I discuss a whole lot of stuff. I discuss drinking, alcohol, drugs, substances, addiction, that sort of thing. And also right at the very beginning I talk quite a lot about being sick. So if any of those things don't sit right with you, you don't want to hear, so absolutely fine. Maybe skip this episode. No harm done to me. Completely respect it. Just wanted to say it because I was on a bit of a roll and I was talking about lots of stuff, and so I didn't stop to do any sort of disclaimer that that's what I was talking about. So here you go. Here's your disclaimer. Talking about addiction, substances, drugs, alcohol, and throwing up and being under the influence. If you don't want to hear those things, completely fair. Anyway, enjoy the episode. Here's the situation. It is Saturday. This needs to be out tonight. Doesn't need to be anything. I've decided this needs to be out tonight. So here we are at 8:59 a.m. Oh, isn't that a lovely time to be alive? Recording the podcast, which I could have done. Let me tell you. Okay, we need to get into it. We need to get into the bloody week I've had. You right? I look bad. I just woke up. What's this week been? Okay, so Monday I worked. Work, as Rihanna famously once said. So yeah, Monday I worked. Tuesday I worked. Wednesday I'm going to have... What was I doing? Working. Thursday, working 100%, no worries. Friday off. But let's take it back to Wednesday evening. Also, go back. Episode 10. That's double digits. Guys, that's double digits. Guys, what the fuck, that's double digits? Anyway, now I'll continue back to Wednesday night. Okay, I'm moisturised. I feel a bit better now. Now I just look a bit greasy. Right, hi. So, fuck me. Wednesday night. I was at work. I was at work on Wednesday. Normal ass Wednesday. And then a few of us were like, let's go to the pub. You know? Just have a couple quick drinks. I was like, yeah, that sounds absolutely fine. No worries, let's do it. I don't know what happened to me. I don't drink that often. I really, really don't drink that often. Like heavily. Like, every now and then I'll have a glass of wine, maybe like go get a cheeky drink with like a friend, but it will usually be like one drink. I had a small, a medium, and a large glass of red wine. I had 2 single vodka lime sodas, and I had 3, maybe 4, I don't fully remember, shots of tuaca. If you don't know what tuaca is, as I've mentioned before, I am from Brighton. Brighton is a wonderful, beautiful city, and it also invented this thing called tuaca. No worries, it did not invent a thing called tuaca. It didn't invent tuaca, that was a lie, it's from Italy. But it's such a thing in Brighton, yeah. Reputation, known in some areas as Brighton is popular. It's not a thing you can get everywhere, but you can get it in B-Town, I'll tell you that much. It's very sweet. So yeah, I had a lot to drink, and I was feeling maybe super fucked up. And I'm really, really drunk. I get home, it's like 11:30. It's not even that late, it's like 11:30. And I have the spins, as we all know. You all know the spins. And I'm well versed in what to do with this, because another thing that I do is I'm a very slow drinker. Very slow drinker. I want too much to say. Shocking? I don't think so. I speak too much, and I smoke too many cigarettes to drink quickly. And so, I'm 9 times out of 10, when everyone is like, right, we're all going to go now, I've got a full drink in front of me. And so another thing I do very often is I will chug that entire drink. And then by the time I get home, it will all hit me in like one go. And so I get the spins a lot. Sorry, your break. And I know my routine down, I sit in front of the toilet, wait, see if I throw up, hope I don't. No worries, absolutely fine. Lie on the cold floor for a bit. Great, amazing, good job, go back to bed. But on this fateful Wednesday evening, that wasn't going to be enough. And it did end up with me with a bucket in my bed because I was so tired. and I was so close to falling asleep. And so I was in bed, in my duvet with a bucket, lying down, sitting up because I got the spins, thinking, because also I kind of just wanted to be sick. I just kind of wanted to be sick. Like, I just thought, you know, that, you know, when you're like, if I'm sick, everything, I will feel so much better if I'm sick. But I wasn't at any point. So yeah, I'm in bed, alternating between lying down and sitting up with a fucking bucket. And eventually I go, this sucks, let me run to the toilet. So I went into the bathroom, do my routine again. Had I done it? Yes. I'd also chugged an entire bottle of water, like I'd done everything right. And I sit on the toilet floor and I go, God, I'm just so hot. I'm just so hot. Let me lie down on the floor, which I did. Had a little lie down on the floor and I realised that my cabinet in my bathroom is like digging into my back. And I was like, well, that's not cute and fun. Let me just move forward a little bit. So I moved forward a little bit, but I'm just lying on this cold bathroom floor. I then woke up 2 hours later on the bathroom floor with the cabinet digging into my back. I still have a bruise on my back. I sat up in the dark in my flat that I live in alone, and I very loudly said to myself and nobody else, "You're an idiot." And then I got up and I went into bed. And I slept for another 2 hours. And then I went to work. Because, yeah, I did have work at 6 a.m. But I went to work. And I did a really good job. So it had no effect on my work. Because at the end of the day, I'm 23. I can work hungover. Like, come on. But it was crazy. I don't think I've ever had the kind of spins like that. My dad, understandably, when I told him, was a bit like, was there anything in your drink? Which I completely respect. And I also thought, at like, I want to say 1 a.m. when I was lying in bed and I was sitting up and I was lying down, I was sitting up and I was lying down, I went, this is going on a long time. Is something up? But I did also just drink a lot, which I don't usually do. And I mixed a lot of different stuff, which I also really don't usually do. So I do think I was just really fucked up. But it is also understandable when you have like a response to drinking that you don't usually have, that it's like, is something different, is something wrong. And many stories, I'm going to try mainly tell stories about myself because I haven't got permission from anyone to tell any other funny stories that I have. And it's 9 a.m, so I doubt any of them are awake for me to ask. But I have many funny stories, a lot of them from years ago. Oh my God, talking about thinking I was being drugged, I once like turned to my friend's brother and was like, have you put something in my drink? Have you put something in my drink? And he was like, why? And I was like, because my whole face feels numb. Again, I'm like 17 at this point. And he's like, yeah, you're drunk. And I was like, wow. No worries. Ignore me. I'm sorry for the accusations. Accuse! I was definitely a late bloomer to drinking. Like, don't get me wrong, like I drank a little bit, like at like secondary school, like all the cool kids did. Like I'd go to the parties and I'd like have like a bottle of vodka. I think my mum might have thought I was a bit of a pussy because she'd very, like, I think my mum did the right thing in this sense where rather than me going out and trying to find my own source of alcohol, mum would buy me one of like the smallest bottles of vodka. That's what she would buy me. And she'd go, hey, this is your drink for the party. She'd say, don't share it with anyone. Keep it to yourself. This is yours. And like, so she could kind of understand and control how much I drank, which I hear you going, that would never work. I would just go find more and drink it. But unfortunately for me, it absolutely did work. And I would come home most times from parties and there would still be vodka left in the bottle. And so I think mum was a bit like, dude, like you're going to a party, get fucked up. And I'd be like, look, I've got half for next time. So yeah, I definitely was like, I was just not interested in drinking and not interested in being inebriated, which honestly kind of still is the case. I don't love feeling out of control. I don't love feeling like I don't have control over what I'm doing physically. Which is why like Wednesday night was interesting because I was still kind of like there, but just not really. I don't know. It was weird. Don't get me wrong, it was very fun. I had a great night, but it was just weird, the aftermath. I was really late to drinking, never really drunk much. And then when I was 16, I went to a festival with my dad that he was working at as an actor. He was doing some like immersive acting, some DJing, a bunch of different stuff. It was a thing we did for a few years. And I just went with him. And I somehow managed to convince the bar manager to let me go in the bar because I wanted to work the bar so badly. I just wanted to work. I've always been a fucking work dog at the end of the day. And so I just wanted to work, and I became friends with the bar manager, convinced him to let me go in the bar at 16, no worries, which is legal. I don't know if it is. Every time I tell someone a story, they're like, that's not legal. But my dad was there, and so we were told that because my dad was there, it was fine. But I'm always been looked really young, so I'm now thinking about it. I'm like, anyone who came to that bar must have really known that they were being served by a 16-year-old. Like, max 16. Anyway. But yeah, I managed to convince these lovely people to let me work on a bar, and I still love them, and they were sweethearts. And then I proceeded to spend 3 days. Again, at this point in time, I've not drunk very much. I spent 3 days drunk. It was so fun. I had so much fun. And I remember at one point my bar manager went to my dad. And then I just wanted to let you know that Tabs has asked if she could have a couple drinks. And I just wanted to make sure that was okay with you. And my dad turned to the bar manager and was like, yeah, I've been trying to make her do that for years. Like, honestly, everyone in my family is so much crazier than me. I'm such a pussy. But yeah, so then I worked this festival bar. We would work like 7 until 3, 4 a.m. Go to sleep. Wake up about midday. Do it all over again for like 3 days. And it was so fun. I genuinely had so much fun doing that. But that was like one of my first, if not my first job, was me just convincing someone to let me work on a bar. I actually do have a really interesting relationship with alcohol. Like, the more I'm talking about it, the more it's coming out. So yeah, that was that. And then I also turned 18 5 days into COVID lockdown 1. No worries. And so I didn't really I never had, I think I've spoken about this before, about like there being a divide between people who like after COVID went crazy and like made up for lost time and did loads of drugs and went clubbing loads, and people like me who stayed in and didn't drink as much and didn't do as much. And so I that's kind of my experience with that. So I never even really had a crazy drinking out in public phase, but I do have some fucking stories. Because I went out a few times right when they had basically said that we could go to pubs again, and it was like, but you could only go in like 8 groups of 8 or something fucking stupid. I don't fucking remember. But I was out with my friends having a really great night. And this is the night that I learned that tequila does not agree with me. Is it delicious? Yeah. Do I really, really, really wish that I could invest and take time with margaritas? Yeah, they look so fucking good. Tequila? Okay, I actually haven't really had it in a few years. Oh my god, but just the idea of it. No. I'm on this night out. I'm really, really drunk. I'm really, really drunk. I'm mixing drinks. Oh my god, there was one other time actually. Sorry, it just reminded me. I'm mixing drinks. You know, shit's crazy. And everyone gets shots of tequila. Classic. Classic, 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 classic. Not for me. I want you to know, on the other night, I can be like close to blackout drunk, and if someone says, should we do shots? I say, no matter where I am, I will go, yes, anything but tequila. Anything but tequila. Like, I'm able to, even in a state of complete inebriation, I will remember to remind the person buying the shots, hey, if you get me fucking tequila, I'll kill you. And it's like the other day, everyone was doing tequila, not me. In fact, it was not going to be me. Everyone's doing tequila, I go, give me anything else. And that's why I got Tueca. And I do actually really like Tueca, no worries. But yeah, everyone's doing shots of tequila. One of my friends goes, I really don't want my shot of tequila. I go, okay, no worries, I'll do 2. I do 2. That was the inciting thing. That was going to be the straw that broke the camel's fucking back. I don't remember much of the night, but I've been told about the night. Oh, holy shit. Oh my god. I'm remembering this story in full as I tell. I go to the bathroom with my friends. I'm projectile vomiting everywhere. No worries. I leave. We're leaving. My friends go, we're going home. Probably for the best. We're leaving. The bouncer, in jest, goes, oh, have you been sick? Are you leaving? I decide, how fucking dare he? And so I turn around to the bouncer as we're leaving and go, no, what's your fucking problem? No, I didn't fucking throw up. What do you mean? I didn't do anything. What are you talking about? And all of my friends are like, what? We're leaving. We're leaving because you threw up. Why are you fighting a bouncer? I don't know, I got really mad. And then I proceeded to throw up on the stairs by Churchill Square. If you know, you know. The ones going up from Tortilla, like right by Urban Outfitters, all at the bottom of those, no worries. And I'd actually had tortilla for lunch. Anyway, so that was one of the stories. The other one was I was hanging out with some people who I didn't know that well. But I was living with my friend, she was away, one of her flatmates was going on this night out and had invited me. So sweet. My friend wasn't there though, so it was just me and the friends. And honest to God, the night started out really good. Like, I can adapt to a group, I can adapt to a group of people. The issue was getting pee that week I had started taking antidepressants, which I took for about 3 weeks and then binned off because I don't actually have depression like that. No worries. I just had ADHD, but we didn't know that at the time, no worries. So I'm on antidepressants. Now, if any of you have taken sertraline, you know, that shit fucks you up. Like, truly. Like, it's not fun. It can be good. Once it plateaus, once your body gets used to it, it can really work for you. I know more people that it doesn't work for. It's so difficult. God. I was on sertraline for depression, which I didn't have in that way. And then I decided to go out drinking. And maybe those two things do not go well together. But here's the thing, I'm hanging out with a group of people that I don't really know that well. And so we're about to go into this club called Prism. And I want to say off the bat, every time I've thrown up, it feels like my body is saying, hey, you're not going to go in there. And I really do appreciate that because Prism is not nice. It's not a very nice club. It's quite gross. And so we're standing outside Prism. We're trying to get in. I have a cigarette. I'm smoking it. I get 3 puffs in. And again, that was the straw that broke the camel's back. There's always going to be a cigarette. Everyone's had the experience. Even if you don't smoke regularly, but you do socially smoke, when you're really drunk and you have 3 puffs of that cigarette and then you go, uh-oh, that's going to be the thing that makes me throw up. And so I had 3 puffs of cigarette and I turned to my friend, the one who I knew the most, and I go, hey, I'm going to be sick. And she goes, cool. And I want to say, she locked in. She really went, okay, no worries. And I was then throwing up on the side of the road. And I was saying out loud to all of the people who I don't know, it's my medication. It's my medication that's making me be sick. Not the 15 drinks I'd had. More than. It's my medication. No one knows what medication I'm on. No one knows what I'm doing. So I'm saying this to no one. They asked me for my phone password to book an Uber on my phone, which I have thoughts on. I don't know if I want to say them. Actually, no, fuck it, I'm going to say them. Because this is no shade to these people, but on reflection, I didn't love this evening and how I was treated. Yes, it's annoying that I got really fucked up. 100%. And they had every right to maybe be a bit annoyed at me. But tell me why when I woke up the next day. Because you know when you're really drunk, but you can still hear and remember everything? I remember everything. I remember one of the people in this party, one of the people in the group, being particularly annoyed that I had gotten fucked up and that I was needing to leave. And saying, I'm not paying for the Uber. None of us should pay for the Uber. She should pay for the Uber. Get her phone. She should do it on her phone. I don't understand. Blah, 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 blah. And my friend who I was with, who had offered to take me home, he was going, you took someone home last time. Why? Just put her in the Uber. Just put her in the Uber and she'll be fine. Now, luckily, the person I was friends with was like, no, that's fucking stupid. They did try to get into my phone, but I kept reading my password in a different order. No worries. Thank God for drunk tabs, and said that one of them had to get the Uber, which I offered to reimburse, and they said no, because that's good friends. And she came home with me, and I said to her, because I had heard all of this, in the taxi I was going, I'm so sorry, I'm really sorry that you had to leave. And she was like, it's literally fine. I kind of wanted to go. I do not mind at all. But I obviously had heard this whole conversation, so in the taxi I'm going, I'm really sorry. And she was like, you don't need to apologise. And she was a fucking dream. She was distracting the driver every time I thought I was going to be sick. Oh, it was great. And then we get home and it's whatever. And I think I threw up in my bed that night. No worries. But I just was thinking about it the next day and I was like, the guy said, it was a guy saying all of this. And I don't know if that has any, like, I don't have, like, I've had no other negative experience with this guy, like, genuinely. But I don't know if maybe it is a thing of gender, of, like, maybe you've not had to, maybe you should take more care. I don't know. But I could be hanging out with, and I could bump into somebody who I despise. I could bump into someone who has, like, personally wronged me. And if I find them on the street, I'm thinking of a particular person. If I find them on the street, blacked out, completely gone, and, like, they're incoherent, I'm booking them an Uber on my phone. If they are not with anyone else, I am getting in that Uber and I am taking them home and I'm making sure that they get inside with somebody they know or whatever. You know what I mean? That is, I don't care how much I'm talking about someone who I currently, like, I haven't spoken to in years and wronged me and kind of ruined my life. I would still fucking do that because there is a woman on the streets, blackout drunk, alone. I am never leaving anyone in that situation, no matter who the fuck they are. Ever. And so, to be blackout drunk and have someone looking after me and someone else going, leave her be, just leave her, put her in Uber, hope for the best. That's crazy. That is maybe insane. Anyway, none of that happened to me. I was taken home. I feel like I definitely have more stories of, like, times I've, like, but I don't actually think, I've definitely thrown up more, but, like, I remember there being another story and now I can't remember it, and maybe there's a reason for that. No worries. With the other story, when I threw up with the bouncer and I yelled at the bouncer, I then did throw up on a bus the next day. I also left my phone in the pub overnight, and so my mum woke up and texted my friend and was like, so calm. She texted my best friend because she had my location. She was like, hi, just a quick question. Why is Tab still in the pub? Because it's 8 a.m. And then luckily my friend knew that I'd left my phone. So that was fine. But so now what year are we at here? This is like 2021. And so this was 5 years ago. I then dropped out of uni. And didn't really have the money or the time to be drinking a huge amount. But, however, I was working at a bar. So, I was drinking quite a lot. Now, this is where we get into the not so cute part of my drinking, which, honestly, really not that bad. I worked at a bar. Now, if anyone of you has ever worked at a bar, which I feel like a lot of you probably has, you are drinking a lot. Like, and it's not even necessarily, like, 'cause here's the other thing. I know, like, the culture of working in bars, you do drink on shift, like, that is usually what it is. I wasn't. Again, lest we forget, my mum would buy me a bottle of vodka for a party and I'd bring it home and say, look, I've got half for next time. So I was not drinking on shift. Let that be said on the record. There's a helicopter, that's not good. Anyway, so I was working at a bar, I wasn't drinking on shift, but I'm drinking after every shift. I'm also, like, my shifts are like 6 p.m. It was like a theatre bar, so my shifts are like 6 p.m. until midnight, whatever. And then we'd all go get drinks afterwards, and then I'd wake up at like 3 p.m. the next day and do it all over again for a little bit. And so I did start to develop some very unhealthy drinking habits. Also know at this point in time, probably the lowest I've ever been mentally. I've dropped out of uni, I'm flailing, and my insomnia was at its absolute worst. Like, truly so bad. And probably because I was getting back from work at like 2 a.m. most days, and then, like, ordering a kebab to my house because that was the only thing that there was to eat, and I hadn't eaten. Like, it was really, like, not cute. And so then I don't know when the transition happened, but I started kind of just drinking all the time, as in midday on my own. And, like, on my days off, I would just go buy, like, bottles or, like, cans and then just drink them in bed on my own. And then I started drinking before shifts. And I want to say it actually never got to a point of concern. Like, sorry, that's not true. It got to a point of concern. It never got to a point of anyone stepping in. Like, it just, I had multiple people who I lived with myself and others going, this is weird. You're drinking a lot. You're drinking a lot. And you're drinking. And for me, that was weird. And like, I never want to say that I had any sort of like issue, because I just like to say I had an unhealthy relationship with alcohol for a very short period of time. And then I started my ADHD medication. And the doctor said to me, it's up to you. It's not that big of a deal. You might not want to drink with these. And I had already started to kind of be like, I clearly don't have the healthiest relationship with alcohol. I'm drinking a lot. And I hadn't really stopped drinking, but like I knew that I probably should start drinking at least less. And so as soon as the doctor said to me, oh, you might want to stop drinking with these, it's kind of up to you, I went, no, 100%. And I stopped drinking for 9 months. And I, didn't drink anything for 9 months. And it was really easy, which is why I also like to say, like, you know, I don't think I had any sort of ongoing severe issue with drinking, because I could just literally on some random fucking night in February go, yeah, I'm going to stop now. And like, so clearly it wasn't that bad, you know what I mean? And then I started drinking again. I don't remember why. Oh, it was Pride. I was like, yeah, it was Pride. And then since then, I had the other night, but even then that wasn't that bad. Like, I've had a couple nights, I've had the odd evening where I have gotten a bit more drunk, but on a regular basis, I really do not drink that much. I think I've started drinking slightly more recently because I've been hanging out with my friends more, frankly. That's what it is. It was a long period of time, like 2022 into 2023, that I was spending a lot of time alone. And so, that helps with not drinking when you don't have anyone with you. Whereas now, I'm going to pubs and seeing people. But then this is the thing, I went to the pub on Wednesday night and I got obliterated. And then I had to go back to the exact same pub on Thursday night to see some other friends, and I got a Coke. And I didn't drink anything. Like, there was a point in time where I definitely felt like I needed to drink in order to hang out with my friends and in order to be able to hang. And then I think not drinking for 9 months, because here's the thing, I was still going out with the same people who I was drinking really heavily with. Like, because I still worked at that theatre bar when I stopped drinking, and we would all go out afterwards and I'd get a ginger beer or I'd get a Coke. And no one cared. That was the other thing I think that was really interesting, was no one gave a shit. Truly. Like, I came in and was like, yeah, I'm not going to drink anymore. And they were like, okay. It just meant if they were buying me a drink, it was cheaper. Like, no one gave a shit. It was, and that was, I think, actually really nice. And that was quite cool. So, I remember, I think it was if it was 2022, I stopped drinking. So I was turning 21. So for my 21st birthday, that doesn't make any fucking sense. Or does it? It does. It was 2022. No, so it was my 20th birthday. I'm not drinking. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. I can't do maths. I was born 2002, so it was if it was 2022, I was 20. Jesus Lord. Come on, girl. That's like the easiest maths ever. So yeah, I stopped drinking, and now I'm drinking again, and I don't really have any recollection of me being super crazy blacked out drunk. No, not really. I mean, yeah, I've had hangovers and I've been drunk enough to have hangovers, but also I think what was interesting is when I dropped out of uni and I started working, I started hanging out with people who were older than me a lot more. Like, not crazy older than me, just like a little older than me. Because, it's a bit weirder to be like the same age as like first year uni student, second year uni student, and be working full time. Most people working full-time are out of uni graduates or people who are older because they've left uni and they need a job to pay their bills. And so a lot of my close friends now are... One of my close friends is 30, one is 30... Oh, Bertie, don't kill me, I don't remember how old you are. I'm sorry, oh wait. He's turning 37 this year. Boom, he's 36, no worries, I remembered what year he was born. I think all of my friends are a couple years older than me. Or like at least a year older than me. Which also meant I kind of like wasn't drinking as much because everything was chilling out, and people, you know, as you get older, you kind of don't want to go get blackout drunk as much. And so now, I love going out for dinner. And this is something I wish people did more. It's expensive, I know, but everyone wants to go to the pub, and I respect that. But here's another thing I'm going to do. If we're going to a pub, I'm buying food for the table without fail. I can't remember. I feel like maybe I've spoken about this before. I will be buying food for the table. I do it without fail. I cannot not do it. Like, just truly, if I go anywhere, I'm at least buying a bowl of chips. But usually it's going to be more. Like, even on Wednesday night, we got patatas bravas, we got broccoli, and then somebody else got chicken strips, somebody else got chicken wings, we got chips. Like, you know, you have to do it. Me and Nat on Monday this week went to a pub and we got a steak to share between us, and we ate it with our hands, and honestly it was fucking delicious. No worries. I just love food so much, and so like, and also it's good to eat a good meal before you drink. 100%. If you're gonna have a big, you know, if you're gonna drink, make sure you're lining your stomachs, guys. Make sure you're eating something. It's so fucking important. And so yeah, that's also I think maybe why I do it, because I'm like, everyone lined their stomach, didn't fucking do anything on Wednesday, which is another reason why I'm like, maybe. But I don't think so. But you know, maybe. I mean, you just have your suspicions that something nefarious happened. Who knows? I'm always buying food for table. But I do just love going out for dinner. I really wish that I had more people that would want to go out for dinner with me. And like, I think I do, but it's pinning people down. It's you're way less likely to convince someone to, like, after work, if you're like, do you want to go out for dinner? That feels like more of a price. That it's more expensive. It's more of a commitment than just like, should we go to the pub and you can get one drink? You know what I mean? But I do have friends. Nat is definitely a friend who we've gone out for dinner a few times. He is down to go out for dinner. We've gone out to eat a lot. We go to pubs. Mondays are usually the days that we go to pubs and we have something to eat. Mads would definitely go out for dinner with me. And again, she has done it impromptu, but I think sometimes she might need a little bit more planning, because she does have a husband who sometimes is like waiting for her at home. And I'm like, sorry, I'm taking your wife out for fucking dinner. That's my wife. Me and Johnny are constantly fighting for Mads' attention. It is quite funny because I literally sent Mads a meme yesterday that was like, girl, whatever, I don't care. They could never make me laugh as much as the girl I get lesbian allegations with. And I sent it to her and I said this, but I invented the lesbian allegations, which is 100% true. Like, Madison is one of my best friends in the whole world. And best believe in any situation I will tell anyone that we are lovers. We are not. We are not. She's happily married to a man. But I just think it's really funny, because also we work together. And so, like, just as far as I'm concerned, we're lovers. And it makes me really laugh because Johnny is such a sweetie, like such a sweetheart, like a friend of mine, through Madison. And Johnny is also a very, very talented musician, and so does lots of gigs and stuff. And I now have a joke because very kindly Johnny has, you know, got me into these gigs, like on some sort of guest list or something, which I really fucking appreciate. It makes me feel really cool every time. And I actually still have my Access All Areas pass from the last gig we went to, because it made me feel really special and cool. But I do have a joke, which is like, Johnny is letting his wife's side piece be on the guest list. But I think again, and this also kind of goes back to my Valentine's Day episode, I think a lot of my friends' partners understand that I am just a permanent thing in their life, and that I do have a deeply romantic relationship with their partners. And it's not romantic. Like, these are my friends. Don't get it twisted. I don't want to be with these people. But also, I love them so much. Actually, to continue, I'm pretty sure this is a message I sent Madison. I'm sure she won't mind me reading, actually. I said that to her, and I said this, but I invented the lesbian allegations. And she said, have I ever denied them? And then she said, I love you with my whole entire heart and every single atom of my being. And I said, and I love you with every cell in my body and soul. That's just we're just friends. Like, we're actually just friends. But I meant every word I fucking said. I meant every word I fucking said. And so this is where I go, like, you know, they're like, she's lying in bed next to her husband, love you, Johnny, texted me saying, I love you with my whole entire heart and every single atom of my being. But it's true. I feel so deeply about my friends, and they feel it back. And their boyfriends and husbands and partners just have to be okay with that. And they are. And honestly, they are. And like, none of them have ever had any issue with it. But if they did, I think my friends would be like, what the fuck is your problem? Like, I think a really good example of that is Emily. So, for example, I don't know if I've told this story yet either. Emily, who I've mentioned a million times, is like my sister, but also my wife. My sister wife, maybe one would argue, but in the weird way. And her wonderful, lovely boyfriend, Daniel. Oh, I do love Daniel so much. And they both have listened to this. I don't think they've continued listening to this. I don't know if I've told Dan that I got it on Spotify. Oops, I should tell him. Whoops. But when... Okay, I'm going to be really vulnerable here. When Dan and Ems first got together, it was quite difficult for me. Which makes me sound like a psychopath. And I was. And I really, to this day, I'm like... so grateful that Emily let me be this fucking insane. But what was going on at the time was I was not doing well mentally. And I was feeling really lonely, and I was feeling really like, I don't know, I was feeling weird about the fact that I felt weird about relationships and stuff. And then Emily had just gone out of a relationship, and she said, I don't really remember what Emily was doing. And she went, let me just like, I'm going to go on dating apps. She'd never done dating apps. Meanwhile, at this point in time, I'm like a four-year veteran of dating apps. And now at this point in time, it's going to be 8 years now, right? I want to kill myself. And so Emily goes, let me just get a dating app. Like, let me try it. And I go, come on, girl. Yeah, you should be in your dating era. I think the third person she matched with was Dan. And they now live together. And so you can understand, as somebody who's been on these apps for a very, 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 very long time with literally zero success, like not a single success story, not even a good date. For my best friend to go on the app and on her third swipe find her, I don't know, maybe forever partner, I was maybe a little upset. Not at her. It's not her fault that she's so hot, sexy and beautiful, and I'm apparently not, which isn't even true. But I was going to be a little bit upset. And then Dan did a couple of things completely unbeknownst to him that just poked the bear even more. The first one being, and this is maybe one of the most insane things I've ever done, and I've spoken to both of them about it since. I've spoken to multiple people about it since and been like, I did not deserve your patience at this time. I really fucking didn't. But it's really funny to reflect on. So there is this restaurant in Brighton called Casa Don Carlos. I love Casa Don Carlos for so many reasons. One, my uncle, who I've mentioned before, big up Mike, wherever you are, my king. Him and my mum would go to this restaurant called Casa Don Carlos. It's a Spanish tapas place in the lanes all the time. It was very much their, like, I don't know, it was just where they hung out, and it was where he would have all of his friends. There was the pub next door that they'd also go to all the time. Like, Casa Don Carlos is kind of become a family place. I don't know why. We're not Spanish. We're not even French. My grandma and my grandpa just moved to the Mediterranean, the south of France, which is very Spanish influenced. So, I don't know. Either way. We just would go to this tapas place all the time. It became a staple in my family. So I have always had a thing, which is if I was ever to be asked on a date, if someone ever asked me on a date and they organically, without knowing anything I just told you guys, asked me to go to Casa Don Carlos, I would internally know that that was a sign from the universe that this is someone good, you know? If I was just to naturally, without prompting, someone went, hey, have you heard of this place called Casa Don Carlos? Should we go? Scary, suspicious, weird. And so I had told Emily all of this. I told Emily about Casa Don Carlos being amazing. I told her I wanted to take her there. And like, because she at this point in time was also very close to my family. And so I told her all about Casa Don Carlos. I'm like, we should go with my mum, blah, 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 blah. And then she comes to me and she goes, hey, so I matched with this guy called Dan on like Hinge. And I go, yeah. She goes, well, he just asked me if I want to go out for dinner. I go, that's nice. What's he saying? And she goes, Casa Don Carlos. She goes, he suggested that we go to Casa Don Carlos. And again, just want to clarify, this is the most insane thing I've ever done, and I cannot believe they let me get away with this. I said, I think the fuck not. I said, yeah, no, you're not going. What is wrong with me? And can I say, though, what is wrong with me? They didn't go.
And let me tell you something crazy. So I said, I said to Emily, I said, look, this is insane. I will be upset if I am not the first person to take you to Castle and Carlos. I know it's crazy. I'm sorry. I will be upset. This is a family thing. And she was so understanding, way more understanding than I fucking deserved. But that's my best friend. And she went, no worries, I'll let him know. And they didn't go to Gaston Carlos. Let me tell you the first time that Daniel, Emily's boyfriend, went to Gaston Carlos. The first time Dan went to Gaston Carlos was at my mum and stepdad's wedding party as the photographer for my mum and stepdad's wedding. That is the first time that Dan ever went to Gaston Carlos. About 2 years later. And I think that's really beautiful. Yes, I stopped him from going on a first date at Gaston Carlos with my best friend. Yes, I did. But don't worry, you can come to my mum's wedding and you can then come to Gaston Carlos. And we sat next to each other and it was beautiful. And I think that is kind of beautiful and full circle that the first time, Dan tried to go to Gaston Carlos the first time with my best friend. And then I said, no worries, you are now also part of my family. And not only can you come to my mother's wedding, but you can also come to the wedding party and you can also photograph the entire thing and we'll take you to Gaston Carlos. I think that's quite beautiful, personally. Yeah, that was an insane thing to do. And we've spoken about it since and Emily's like, yeah, that was really weird. But luckily, I've spoken to Dan, I'm pretty sure about it. I'm pretty sure Dan was like, no, but I get it. Like, that's so fine. So the framing's probably going to have completely changed because my phone went out of storage. But I was talking about, my plan this whole episode was to talk about alcohol and its crazy effects. But then we ended up just talking about me being the third in most of my friends' relationships again, which, hey, it's the truth of my life. But no, what I was going to say at the very end of that was I have spoken to Dan about it since, and he was like, no, I do get it. Like, I understand if it's like a personal place. And also now, like, I love Dan. I should text him, actually. I guess it's also like something that this is going to get really deep really, really, really quickly, is growing up in Brighton. For those of you that don't know, most of you probably do, because a lot of you listening to this live or were brought up in Brighton. It's there's a lot of addiction in Brighton. There is a lot of addiction in Brighton. To various different things. There is alcoholism, there is drug addiction, there is weed addiction. There's a lot. I'm pretty sure, I don't know if we still have this title, but we were the drug capital of the UK for a long time, as well as being the gay capital of the UK, so swings and roundabouts. And so I feel like I have seen addiction, I've seen addiction around me a lot of my life. I don't think I ever fully understood what it was. And I also think, knock on wood, I don't know this to be absolutely true, but it's conversations I've had with my family before. I think, because addiction is like an illness, and it's also it's something you can inherit. I don't think the addiction gene is in my family. I don't know. Don't get me wrong, we have lots of other stuff going on, but I've had conversations with my dad before about things, and I just don't think that particular gene's in my family. But Dad has known people, I've known people, I think everyone knows someone who has an addiction, and addiction is really, I really want to actually just start this by saying I don't know, because like I just said, addiction that doesn't run in my family. It's not something I don't think I've experienced to the extent that I know other people have. So anything I'm saying is truly coming from a place from my perspective, which is not my lived experience. Like, I don't know. This is just from what I've seen and what I've heard and what I've read and what I understand. So it could not be true and it should not be taken as fact. Grief, however, which is the other thing I want to talk about. I was going to say, I think grief, I see grief and addiction as like kind of sisters, like in emotion, or like at least cousins, in the sense where it's like, it's never going to look the same for anyone else. Recovering from addiction, having an addiction, recovering in grief, having grief, it is never going to look the same as someone else. It can manifest in so many different fucking ways, and it is not linear. Grief is not linear. Recovering from addiction is not linear. I understand grief. I've seen grief up close and personal. I've experienced it in my own special fucking way because I was 7. And I watched the adults in my life experience it in a certain way and still experience it. Like, grief is a really interesting conversation because, like, I'm 23. My uncle died when I was 7. So he died, I think this year it will be 17 years ago he died. And last year, 16 years ago when it was last year, was one of the toughest years I've had. Like, around the anniversary was his death. After 16 years, I was 7 years old. Last year was one of the toughest years. I spent, I think, almost 2 weeks just in a fucking shadowy state of feeling angry, of feeling upset. I was really... And luckily, again, I've been dealing with this for 16 years, so I knew what I was doing. I went to work and I went, hey guys, if I'm weird this week, I'm sorry, it's really hitting me this year. I think the year before I came around to the 18th and I went, oh shit, oh, it's the anniversary of my death. It's really weird. Grief is really weird, and I think it's not the same as recovering from addiction, but it's the same in the sense of you don't know how you're going to feel. You don't know, you know, you don't know if the day's going to be easy or the day's going to be hard, but it's every day, and it's an illness. Like, and I think growing up in Brighton, it's really interesting, like, seeing... Brighton is a very uni city, it's a very party city, and, like, I don't know what I wanted to talk about. I think it's just, like, I think the reason I want to talk about this is I know people who are, like, currently trying to, like, or have actively stopped drinking, and I sit here and go, yeah, I just stopped drinking, it was easy, and it's not easy for everyone. For some people, they've been drinking for a really long time and they rely on it in a certain way, and it can be really fucking tough. And, like, you know, I have friends who've, like, tried to quit drinking and then they've relapsed in whatever way that is, as in either they've, like, had another drink or they've whatever, and they will be, like, you know, heartbroken and be like, I've ruined everything. And I'm like, you haven't. Like, that is a part of recovery. A part of getting sober is falling off, and you are going to fail because you have an addiction, and that is what it is. And I think the thing that I've seen in people close to me recently is, like, their response after. Like, I have, like, friends in my life who have tried to quit drinking a few times and then given up, which is completely fine. And, you know, this time they've tried to quit drinking, they've had another drink, and then their response afterwards has been different. And I'm like, yeah, this is it. You're going to stop now. Because last time you started drinking again and then you didn't stop. This time you had one more drink and then you went, oh my God, I hate this. And that it's so hard, though. It can be really hard. And, like, you know, lots of the time if you have an addiction, you just end up replacing that addiction with something else. And sometimes that's equally as unhealthy. Like, you know, people who replace, like, a drinking addiction with a gym addiction, but not in a, they just want to get really healthy way, in, like, a, you know, that kind of way. Addiction is really, really weird, and substances are really, really weird, I think. And also, on that, I've never done any drug, really, other than weed, which, again, growing up in Brighton, the amount I've smoked is nothing. Like, I don't really like it. I mean, I don't think I could smoke it regularly. Every now and then there's a special little treat. It's like, yeah, okay, I'd like to feel quite chill and relaxed right now. But Brighton, like, I remember saying to my mum, you know, I said to her that some of my friends were smoking weed, and she, like, said something about it, and I went, Mum, I'm the weird one. I used to lie to people and say I was allergic to it because I didn't want to smoke it. And no one would have really cared, I don't think. But, like, it just, in Brighton, everyone smokes weed. Everyone smokes weed. Everyone smokes. Everyone drinks. Like, that is just the truth of it. But I didn't really drink and I didn't really want to smoke weed. And so I was kind of the weird one. But no one actually gave a shit. That's the other thing. Not everyone's doing their own thing. No one's pushing you to do anything. Peer pressure doesn't really, at least not in my friendship groups that I had. If you didn't want to smoke the weed, great, there was more for them. If you didn't want to drink the alcohol, great, there was more for them. Like, you know, it's an expensive city to live in. But, other than that, I've never done anything else. Which, again, is really weird for Brighton. Again, I also do think though that is, I've always said, like, I've never had the urge to do like basically anything that goes up your nose. I don't know what I can say or not say. I don't even know if I'm allowed to say weed. I might bleep it. Marijuana, the devil's lettuce. I've never done anything that can go up the nostril or that you swallow. Are you picking up what I'm putting down? I just have absolutely no want to do any of those things. And I have nothing, I literally have nothing against them at all. If you want to do them, go absolutely crazy. It's a slippery slope, but be absolutely, like, be careful and do it, please be safe. But, like, I have close personal friends who do it all the time and they're fine and they're chilling, so no worries. And so there are ways to do these things in a way that's the whatever, but I've just never had the urge. And I do actually think part of the reason for that is my parents. Like, the same way I said, like, my mum bought me that bottle of vodka and was like, right, you can have this. I never grew up with, like, again, also my parents raised me in Brighton, so I think they kind of knew the culture I was in and around, and that there wasn't much hope for me to not see it and have access to it. And so the kind of conversations we had around drinking, around doing drugs growing up was very much a case of, like, especially my mum being like, look, I don't want you to do cat. I don't want you to do drugs. But if you do, and you're ever in a position where you feel unsafe, where something is wrong, you can absolutely call me. That was the one thing my mum always said to me. Why is this making me emotional? That's really weird. I think I just miss my mum. No worries. She was always like, look, I don't want you to do these things, but if you're on the beach and you're, like, scared, call me. I'm not going to be impressed, but I'll come and get you. She was like, there is no world where I don't come and help you, no matter what you've done, no matter where you are. Oh, why am I going to cry? Again, my mum is the fucking best. And the same for my dad. Like, but the difference is with dad. But my dad also has, and I'm pretty sure, like, my dad's also done a lot of drugs in his time, in his life. Like, he moved to Brighton when he was 19, and again, yeah. So, like, dad also, at no point, he never even attempted to be like, don't do drugs, because he'd be being a fucking hypocrite. So I never grew up with the kind of thing of, like, you can never do drugs, they're so bad for you, you will die if you do drugs. I didn't grow up with that. I grew up with my dad being like, I mean, yeah, maybe be careful, but also I've done a lot of drugs. And mum was like, mum hasn't really done any. And was like, hey, maybe wouldn't recommend it. It's not the safest thing in the world, but also I can't stop you. And so I think because I grew up with that, I didn't have the kind of, like, rebellious urge in me to do all these things. And I also, again, like I was saying earlier, I don't like feeling crazy out of control of my body. I don't like feeling like I'm not in control. So I truly have just never had the urge to do anything. And I don't have anything against it. Like, a lot of people I know do. And that's fine, and I can hang. Like, I'm very good at matching energy, Gemini rising, no worries. I can adapt to any room, ADHD. But I've just never wanted to do any of it. And so I do have a weird relationship with it, I think. Because it also means I don't understand a lot. There's definitely a fear aspect for me. I don't know why. Like, I think substances are a really weird thing, and everyone has such a different relationship to them. And I have such a complicated relationship with them, because I don't do anything, but I'm so close to so many people that do. And I can see, you can see, in Brighton, it's, you see a lot of the unhoused people who clearly have addictions to something or another. And it's a really, like, I don't know, it's a really interesting topic. We could get, like, I don't want to get crazy deep into it, because, like, this is meant to be mostly lighthearted. But we could get into, like, you go the decriminalisation of marijuana and all that sort of thing. And substances are something that runs so deep in our society that we don't even fucking realise. Like, we could start talking about the government. Like, Anyway. I think I'll stop there, because we've spoken about a lot. I didn't know that. I kind of like that the episode themes at the moment seem to kind of just be one overarching thing that I get into as a whole. It's kind of fun. It's kind of cute. But yeah, it is now 10:13, so I think I can call this a day. I need to now go edit this whole thing and post it by tonight, which I will. But it's kind of, I had other things I wanted to do today, but I guess I just won't be doing any of them. I do unfortunately quite enjoy doing this though, so it's absolutely fine. Thank you for listening. This one's probably a little bit more chaotic. My meds kicked in about halfway through. I wonder if you can tell. Anyway, love to you all. I don't really have any recommendations this week. I don't think I've been really consuming a lot. I've not been watching stuff. I've not really been listening to stuff. So yeah, I've just kind of been working a lot. So my recommendation this week is take some time for yourself and maybe don't do drugs. Or maybe have a glass of wine. Who fucking knows? I don't know. Have a good one. Thank you for listening to No Worries If Not. Thank you for episode 10, double digits. Crazy, crazy, crazy. And I feel like we didn't address it enough, but my energy was manic today. Eat well, sleep well, love yourself, love everyone around you. Thank you so much. Big love.